Namaskar and welcome everyone. Request everyone to kindly keep your mic muted. Honorable Minister has joined. We will be beginning the session very soon. Thank you so much. Kindly keep your mics muted all the time. Thank you so much. Vanda ma'am, over to you.
नमस्कार and a very warm good afternoon to everybody. नववर्ष की सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं. ये वर्ष आपके लिए अच्छे स्वास्थ्य और संपन्नता से परिपूर्ण हो. There are already early signs of a very strong economic rebound, and I'm grateful to the industry leaders, entrepreneurs for rising up to the challenges of COVID-19 to keep the wheels of the economy turning. The manner in which the production of PPE kits and several other essential commodities was scaled up is a testament to India's will and potential. Honorable Prime Minister gave us the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which would leverage India's scale, requirements, and innate entrepreneurial talents. To realize this vision in full measure, enhancing competitiveness of Indian industry is absolutely imperative. Quality and productivity are vital attributes of competitiveness. It is in this context that we have organized Udyog Manthan, which is a series of 45 webinars, which would be conducted over a period of 8 weeks and would cover all the major sectors of manufacturing and services. These webinars will not only discuss challenges, but also opportunities, solutions, and best practices. We do hope that there will be cross-learnings across industries and sectors. There is immense enthusiasm in this initiative. There are already 350 registrations for this particular session itself, and several of those have already joined. I'm grateful to our partners, Quality Council of India, National Productivity Council, the industry chambers, line ministries, who have supported us in this endeavor to build a productivity and quality movement. Our deep gratitude to the Honorable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, who has encouraged us to organize this Udyog Manthan. May I now request Shri Adil Zainul Bhai, Chairman, Quality Council of India, to share the quality perspective. Thank you.
Good evening, Vandana ji, and to the dignitaries who are going to address this, including Dr. Mokhtan, Dr. Mahapatra, and of course, Commerce and Industry Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. Welcome to all of you, and I think this is a unique opportunity, as the Prime Minister mentioned, and as we are seeing in business. We are working towards PM's goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat, but that means that products produced here should be of very high quality, both for India as well as for the rest of the world. And given that COVID has forced everyone to rethink their supply chains, their manufacturing practices, their ideas on quality, this is a great time to be thinking about how do we go forward and think about our production processes and our supply chains to make sure that we are producing goods of high quality, both for India and for the world. I'm very optimistic about this because during the times of COVID, we saw some very quick action by the Indian industry in conjunction with the chambers and with the governments. And let me give you two examples of those where we were able to play a small role. If you remember, at the start of COVID, India had a huge shortage of all kinds of PPE kits. And a goal was set by the government of India and the textile ministry that India should become actually a net exporter of PPE, and that all the needs for PPE should be met from India. And in a very short period of time, companies were able to ramp up PPE kits from less than, I think, 20,000 or 30,000 a day to almost 1 million a day. And they're being exported all over the world. They meet the quality demands of the strictest quality standards in Europe, US, etc. And this happened literally within a 2 to 3 month period where we were able to ramp up. Many of these were small companies. Some were some of our big textile producers, but many of these were MSMEs. And I think the idea is that if we can react as quickly as this in other areas also, it will help us dramatically to improve our quality and meet the challenge. A second interesting example in services, and I want to point out that this is both for manufacturing and services, is the fact that at the start of COVID, India was doing roughly around 10,000 tests a day. And there was a need to very quickly ramp that up to world standards, not just anyone doing tests, but to world standards. And today, over 1,000 private labs and public labs are in fact providing RT-PCR testing. And the capacity in India has moved up to almost 1.5 million tests a day. And this is in a relatively short period of time. It's something that almost no country has done. And these are being done to international standards. These are being done by either government labs or labs that meet international standard as certified by NABL. NABL worked using video VC technology to certify labs in as little as 48 hours if they met the standard. So most of these labs were owned by small and medium-sized businesses, hospitals, etc. And they were able to meet the standard in a very short period of time, despite the great difficulties of getting people, etc., etc. So given that we can, when asked, our industry can ramp up capacity and can in fact meet quality, I am very hopeful that if we apply the same kind of thinking, the same kind of urgency to many of our other products and categories, that we will in fact be able to meet the challenge of producing in India for India and the rest of the world at high quality. With that, I would like to once again congratulate all the partners in setting up this series of webinars. And the idea is really to help most of the companies, and especially MSMEs, to help improve quality to meet the challenge set out by the Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adilji, for your perspective, which is absolutely backed by a lot of experience. Now, may I request Dr. AKP Muktan, Secretary General of the Asian Productivity Organization, who again has very vast experience in international relations and development, for his extensive work in the Asian Productivity Organization, ASEAN, and United Nations. So welcome, Dr. Muktan. Over to you, please. Dr. Muktan, we can't hear you.
To unmute himself.
Dr. Muktan, you have to unmute yourself.
Lighting.
Dr. Muktan, are you having any technical issues at your end? Dr. Muktan has joined us from Tokyo. I think we are having some technical difficulties with Dr. Muktan, so we will perhaps come back to him later. May I now request Dr. Guru Prasad Mohapatra, Secretary DPIIT, to kindly give a special address.
Thank you, Vandana. Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Sri Piyush Goyal ji. Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Sri Som Prakash ji. Chairman QCI, Sri Adil Bhai. Dr. Muktan from the Asian Productivity Council. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you and extend a very warm New Year to all of our distinguished participants here. Actually, the credit for this entire conceiving this Udyog Manthan and making it happen belongs to our Honorable Commerce and Industries Minister. But throughout COVID, he has been asked that Indian industry to achieve the goals of the Honorable the $5 trillion economy and to achieve the goals set by Honorable Prime Minister for Atmanirbhar have to do two things. One is to increase quality and the second is to increase productivity and be comparable with the best in the world. So towards that end, he has been prompting us and has mandated us, and that is what has brought us to this marathon of webinars, around 45 webinars which are being organized on various aspects of the industry to improve quality and productivity in the next few days. I once again take this opportunity to welcome all of you. I'm sure you all know the importance of quality and productivity. There are, apart from QCI, there are various other organizations in Government of India who are working with it. But the major onus for quality and productivity belongs to the industry. And that is the whole purpose of organizing this series of webinars. I once again thank all of you for joining us. And I would I'm sure that all of us are interested in hearing what our Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister has to say on this subject. I will not take much time at this stage. Thank you once again.
Dr. Muktan, are you able to speak to us now? I think the technical difficulties persist at his end. So may I request the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister to kindly deliver his inaugural address. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Mahapatra, Secretary DPIIT, Dr. Muktan, Secretary General of the Asian Productivity Council, Dr. Anil Zainul Bhai, Chairman of Quality Council of India, esteemed dignitaries from various industries, friends. I'm indeed extremely delighted to participate in the launch event for Udyog Manthan, and I must compliment the team in the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade and at Quality Council of India and all the other partners who have been associated with this wonderful initiative for the tremendous effort they've put in to organize this 2-month-long series of webinars covering nearly 46 sectors and having about 49 webinars through the next 2 months. Truly a Herculean task and something that makes all of us very proud of the ability of this team before me to set up a goal and then meet those targets in a well-defined manner, in a defined time frame. The resilience and determination that our Indian industry showed over the last 9 months of COVID is truly very, very encouraging and has shown the world the capacity of India and Indian industry. We are very rapidly on the path of recovery. Things are falling back into place. And with the dawn of the new year, I believe our industry and entrepreneurs, through their conviction, will lead us out of the COVID pandemic gloom into a golden era of economic growth and prosperity for 1.3 billion people in India. As they say, a lively discussion of ideas with a common perceived goal is the place where great things can happen, because the hottest fire makes the hardest steel. I think truly our Indian entrepreneurs have demonstrated their ability to come up with ideas, to accept challenges, convert the crisis into an opportunity, put their best foot forward, and meet very demanding goals that the world today has set before themselves and Indian industry has accepted as a challenge. In any effort to make Indian products acceptable globally, to make the Indian brand a proud brand globally, quality and productivity are going to be two very important legs on which the future of Indian industry stands. If I may quote what the Honorable Prime Minister said barely a couple of days ago, and I quote, India does not want to merely fill global markets with its products. We want Indian products to win the hearts of people around the world. Very clearly, the Prime Minister was alluding to high quality Indian products at competitive prices being available to people around the world, flooding markets around the world, not merely because we make an effort to export more products, but because there's a huge demand for the Indian brand, for Indian quality and Indian product that is acceptable to the entire world. These two elements of production, quality and productivity, impact not only manufacturing or production, impact services as well, in fact, impact every sphere of life, including governance. Good governance, quick governance, transparent governance are all hallmarks of a good government. And I do believe in the last few years, the world has seen governance transform in India into one in which global recognition and trust has been achieved. We are focused on ease of doing business. We are working actively towards single window for clearances. There's digital certificate of origin available to our international trade. A GIS-based land bank has been presented before the world. We are making more easily accessible company registration processes. Digital India has taken wings. We have adopted the best practices for high quality and big scale of operation, large volumes of digital transactions in the country. A very liberalized FDI framework has been provided for promoting investments in different sectors, including single brand retail, coal, mining, contract manufacturing. We are working towards more investments in defense and space, a number of sectors where we are opening up rapidly and encouraging international investment into the country. To promote Indian manufacturing, the production-linked incentive schemes in the electronic sector and 10 other sectors, aggregating nearly 2 lakh crore rupees or approx $30 billion is over the next 5 years, is giving a lot of confidence to Indian manufacturers about the future of our manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these are possible if we tighten our belt, focus on high productivity to remain cost competitive, and ensure that every Indian product carrying the Make in India brand is of very high quality standards. If we look at Switzerland, we recognize it for its quality. We say a Swiss watch, you can close your eyes and buy one. Precision machine tools, you look up to Germany, or high quality automobiles, you look up to Germany and say it's a German car, we can buy it. Different countries have created a unique proposition around quality of their products. It's time now that India, which aspires to be an integral part of resilient global supply chains, which aspires to expand its international engagement, which aspires to serve markets around the world, also looks at improving our productivity and quality standards. And I'm delighted that in such a short span of time, since we first discussed this idea in the ministry, our entire team, along with the partners, has been able to take forward our journey to build Brand India, to make in India a household name across the world, and make production and service both extremely efficient and effective in its delivery, so that we can truly serve the world, not just on the strength of cost, but on the strength of our quality and the very value of our products. I remember the Honorable Prime Minister had many years ago promoted the idea of zero effect, zero defect. I think it was truly a very, very noble objective, which looked at sustainable manufacturing processes, ensuring climate change is at the center of our workplaces, at the center of our thinking, ensuring that India's contribution to global fight against pollution and a cleaner environment is truly big, while at the same time making our Indian products zero defect, that is of a very high quality. As Swami Vivekananda had said, India will be raised not with the power of the flesh, but with the power of the spirit. And I do hope this webinar series focusing on quality and productivity will be taken up with the true spirit that our entrepreneurs and industry and business has displayed from time to time, more particularly during the huge crisis that the world and India faced during the COVID pandemic. While we are not yet out of the COVID pandemic, the fact that 2 vaccines have been approved, the fact that there's a fall in numbers, the fact that India was able to face the challenge of COVID probably far better than many other parts of the world, for that matter amongst the best in the world, very low mortality rates, very high recovery rates, very low number of persons afflicted with COVID compared to the large population that India supports. All of these are very encouraging for all of us as a nation. And I'm sure this effort to look at focus on quality and productivity will help different sectors, will be beneficial for the automobile sector, will be beneficial for manufacturing of steel, will be beneficial for cement, will be beneficial for our service providers. And I have no doubt that our entrepreneurs, with their innovative ability, their ability to adapt to newer ways of working, newer ideas, and to learn new skills, will certainly make this mission a grand success. As Steve Jobs had said, customers don't measure you on how hard you tried. They measure you on what you delivered. I believe this webinar will only be considered successful not by the hard work and the effort all of my colleagues and all of you are putting in to make this pan-India reach out to different sectors of industry and service and expand the scope of quality and productivity in every business. It will be considered, it will be measured for its success in the actual implementations of the recommendations that come out of the discussions. I'm sure you will come up with a compendium of ideas that emerge out of these webinars, and using the groundwork that is laid down out of these series of webinars that you're going to have, collectively, Indian businesses, industry, and service providers will innovate and implement these ideas to truly make India a global player, both in merchandise and in services. My compliments once again to the entire team. I wish the webinar series well, and I'm sure the Udyog Manthan program will be the harbinger of change in the way we work, in our mindset, and will truly be remembered for the base that it will set for India to engage as a global player with high quality, high productivity, and both these products go hand in hand to make the country and its products cost competitive also. My best wishes to all of you. Good luck, stay safe, stay healthy. A very, very happy and prosperous new year to all of you and your friends and family. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words and your encouragement. I can assure you at our end, we will make all our earnest efforts to not just come up with the compendium of recommendations which comes out of these webinars, but also we will try and work on those most sincerely, sir. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to all the dignitaries who are present here today. I must acknowledge the presence of Honorable Minister of State as well, Shri Som Prakash ji. And with these words, I would seek the permission to play our inaugural video.
India, a new world of opportunities and possibilities, a land with abundance of talent and capabilities, is pacing ahead for rapid economic growth and development. The last few years have raised the curtain on a changing India, where the country's infrastructural setup, communication network, IT capabilities, retail chain, and transportation and logistics linkages have been upgraded like never before. Today, emerging as one of the largest economies of the world, India is in the process of implementing a stronger yet simple regulatory framework to enhance ease of doing business and reduce compliance burden. The stage is set for the growth of the modern Indian industry with efficient manufacturing and services. The recent pandemic has demonstrated that we are ready to leap into the digital future. It is exemplary how the country has changed, making a steady progress towards becoming Atmanirbhar, truly a self-reliant and self-sufficient economy, with quality and productivity being the hallmarks that benchmark our products and services at the domestic and international levels in a cross-section of industries like textiles and apparels, automobiles, leather goods, hospitality services, and many others. Udyog Manthan is a step in this direction. It is a series of focused webinars with industry leaders, professionals and experts aimed at discussing not only just challenges and opportunities, but best practices and solutions. Manthan will prepare a compendium of quality and productivity related sectoral recommendations to aid industrial competitiveness and greater demand for Indian products and services, thereby leading to import substitution and higher exports. It is a vehicle that aims to contribute to Honorable Prime Minister's mantra of vocal for local and the vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Come, let's join this movement of quality-inspired productivity. Udyog Manthan, हम तैयार हैं.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to the entire team which has worked on this initiative. Grateful thanks to our secretary, Dr. Guru Prasad Mohapatra. Adil ji, your team has been great support. NPC, all the industry chambers have worked very hard to put this event together. There's a lot of enthusiasm among the industry to take this initiative forward. UNIDO is here. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the participants. And with this, we move over to today's session, which is on furniture. Sir, today the session is on furniture. So we will have deliberations, detailed deliberations on that sector, its challenges, issues, opportunities, and solutions. Thank you very much. With that, I hand you over to Mr. Anil Agrawal, please.
Thank you. My best wishes to all of you, and a very good sector chosen to begin with. It's one sector where we have the skills. We just need to top it up a little better, and we can really become a global player. My best wishes for today's webinar and for each one of those following. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. May I now request Mr. Uday Singh Meena from the DPIIT Furniture Division to please conduct the proceedings. Uday, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very, very good afternoon to all of you. The stage is set, and as our honorable minister has just mentioned, this is the sector which has the full potential. We have the skills, but the challenges are also there, and the competition is also there. And right from the availability of raw material, as well as the competition with international level, that is the challenge. Furniture, as we know, the Indian furniture market has a potential, and it is expected that it will grow about in $31 billion industry by 2024. If we have to move strategically and in the times of the COVID, we have to plan it, and maybe we can achieve better results. And these are my views, and I feel with the industry sectors, the leaders are there. So, in fact, from DPIIT, we wanted to listen what the industry wanted from us, and we should move further accordingly.
Thank you, Uday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vandana ji, my colleague, esteemed colleague from DPIIT. It's an honor to be part of the Udyog Manthan series, and it is a privilege for us that furniture sector has been chosen to begin right after the inaugural session by Honorable Commerce and Industries Minister. As everybody knows, furniture sector has been taken as a priority sector under the guidance of our Commerce and Industries Minister. We've had a special group working on recommendations of various policy measures which are needed for improving manufacturing, improving exports from the domestic furniture industry. There have been wide-ranging discussions. We have been in touch with all the industry. Over a period of time, we have been working on a number of policy recommendations. Today's Udyog Manthan seminar, the purpose is essentially to look at how can the industry improve upon the quality of products being manufactured domestically, and how could we improve productivity of our units within the country. These are extremely important aspects for any industry, and particularly so for furniture industry. I'm sure the deliberations today will help us look at the sector very, very closely, and we would be able to look at some recommendations which could be looked at from the policy perspective for further implementation. I would now request the QCI to please moderate this session.
Is Mr. Rudra Chatterjee there?
Yes, I'm here.
Kindly take it forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And Happy New Year to everybody. We are delighted to have the furniture industry participate. I'm going to have, along with myself, my name is Rudra Chatterjee from a company called Manner and Muse, Mr. Anil Mathur from Godrej, Mr. Anil Goel from Hettich, Mr. Hossein Kerusi from Pepperfry, Mr. Jagat Shah from Vibrant Market, and Ms. Dimpy Daroch, TIC Council. The Udyog Manthan flyer that has been given to us actually is excellent, and it highlights some of the key strengths of the furniture sector. The first thing that this flyer says is that the global growth rate is 5% of furniture. This is global industrialized company growth rate, which if you compare with the growth rate of all industries, is double. 2.5% is the GDP growth, global GDP growth. It's double the GDP. So that over a sustained period is a tremendous achievement. India's growth rate in 2018 was 15%, which is not a poor number. But as the honorable members spoke before, we hope to become a multi-billion-dollar industry. For that, we need more than 100% growth for several years. That is completely possible. And quality and productivity will play a very big role in it. I'll say why I think it is completely possible. India had categorized furniture as a small-scale industry till 2014. It is only now that lid has been lifted. Now that we can grow, the biggest issue in furniture is raw material, scale, and quality. We will have our colleagues speak afterwards, talking about raw material. We'll talk about Furniture Hub, which is scale, and all of us will speak about quality. I just want to highlight what you see on the screen, which is a real business case. This step stool costs $12.70 in India versus $7.50 elsewhere. And this is for various reasons. This requires certified wood. This step stool is made with something called FSC certified wood, which is the global standard. And this is part of the driver. But there's also a significant number, $1.50, which is the cost because of efficiency. That cost is what we are talking about, the 10 to 15% quality related cost. If we think of what does quality mean when it comes to the furniture sector, it is number one, training at all levels of the company, which includes from the CEO, who needs to understand how to set up the furniture plant for utilization twice or three times, finding the right logistics to move the furniture from the factory to the hub, identifying the right wood, and buying the wood at the right price. So all of these issues are cultural issues, and we need to fix the culture of furniture making in the country. I have an anecdote where one large customer totally dependent on India for their very large furniture business. And they had such huge rejections that they stopped working in India. This was 3 years ago. We must ensure that these kind of things do not happen again. And for that, we have to make sure that the quality of product, whether it is for domestic use or for international use, in terms of starting with raw material, but is it a certified raw material? Can you traceably source it? Is it being, if it is a particle board, is it again being without the formaldehyde, and is it the right price? Is it the available at the right price at the right quantity? And then moving on to, is it being made at large enough scale and being made without wastage in terms of design, the kind of design that is built in to reduce wastage. The sector in India is largely unorganized. It is a significant amount of effort to bring that quality and cultural strength. But given the growth potential, especially during this period of COVID, where many industries have actually fallen to negative territory, but furniture industry is having tremendous growth because people are finding more occasions to buy furniture. Many family members are working from home. All of them require workspaces. Many people are adding a home office because they need to work from home as well as sometimes go to office. So this is a huge opportunity. And when you look at the global situation with strict action on Vietnam because of currency and other manipulation, concerns about China, India is the favored nation for furniture growth, and we must take up the opportunity with both our hands, grow the business to a multi-billion-dollar position. It will not only help a fantastic export industry, which the world wants, but also the raw material is wood, which is produced by farmers. We need the right wood and forest policy, the right farm policy. The labor it's a large labor employing industry. 20% of solid wood furniture is labor cost. So India will also have a significant labor component. So in all levels, it is very important to develop the furniture industry, and that is what this team and the government is very seriously looking into. There are many changes that we have brought forward to the government in terms of import of raw material, in terms of furniture hubs that are being looked at, which my colleagues, starting with Mr. Goel, will speak about. But I just wanted to lay the lay of the land to show the opportunities of the furniture industry. With this, I would like to invite first Mr. Goel from Heritage, who will talk in general about the scale and furniture hub issues, but also about quality within that. So, Mr. Goel, welcome, and please go next. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Goel, and please go.
Now, thank you, Mr. Raji. First and foremost, let me say thanks to all of you for having me here, number one. And number two, I would like to compliment the ministry for organizing or identifying furniture as the sunrise industry. Let me set the perspective right. You see, global furniture industry is about $500 billion. Indian furniture industry is $15 to $18 billion, and one of the top 4 growing country in the world in the furniture. Number one. Number two, this will be a sunrise industry for India because it keep on growing for next 50, 60 years. There are 3 data points for this. Number one, global per capita consumption is about $90 to $100. India is $15. So can you imagine how much is the gap between the global average and Indian average? Number one. European average is about $200 and Scandinavian is about $400. Also, there is a direct linkage between the rising GDP and consumption of furniture per se. As such, we are in a sunrise industry. This can become a really big for the domestic consumption and also for the export. Number one. Number two, there is a global trend. The furniture manufacturing is shifting from high-income countries to low-income countries. Today, China is producing about 45% of our between 40 to 45%. Vietnam is also rising day after day. So there is a complete shift of the production from high income group to low income group. Number three, that home improvement after post-COVID, the home improvement expense will increase. There will be higher slice of cake for home improvement. As Mr. Chatterjee said, that there would be work from home, the people are spending more and more money. They are also realizing the importance of the quality. So as such, per se, there would be a huge demand. Today, Indian furniture industry is growing about 6 to 7%. Modular industry is growing more than 15%. But overall industry is growing at the rate of 6%. Modular would be somewhere between 50 to 20%. Number one. And today, when we are talking about the real challenges, why our production is low, or how can we increase the production at an efficient cost and a good quality. First and foremost, we have to talk about economies of scale. As Mr. Chatterjee said, the industry was reserved for small scale till 14. So there was no large scale investment. You would be surprised to note that there's not even a single company in India which is even $100 billion except Godrej. $100 billion in turnover. So you can imagine largest company is 5 to 600 crores. So we have to talk about that. You see, it requires a lot of capital. Number one. Number two, most of the companies in India are not having the global capacities. Since they are not having the global capacity, the quality is also a problem, the production is also a problem. Cost of production is high. Another thing that in India, point number two, that everyone in India is trying to do everything. He is doing a kitchen, he is doing residential furniture, he is doing office furniture. There is no specialization. I give you two examples. In Vietnam, every manufacturer is concentrating on one type of furniture. Somebody is concentrating only in the outside furniture, outdoor furniture. Somebody is only in wardrobes. Somebody is only on one particular type of residence. And another example is Germany. Nobilia produces 3,300 kitchens in a single day. 33,000. Imagine the volume. There will be not even a single company in India which will be even doing in 1 year time. Imagine their scale. They are selling the kitchen for €1,000 to €70,000 from the same plant. And they feel that they can produce kitchen in Germany at a cost lower than China in Germany. And despite exporting, they are most cost competitive. Number three, I would try to basically that unless we are talking of global capacity, specialization, productivity will not improve. So we have to have the capital. We have to have the scale. Number 3 point, I'm talking about the infrastructure. Furniture industry is not a land efficient as an industry per se. You require a lot of space to operate or to set up a good global size factory. Now, if the price of land is high, it would be cost incompetitive for a person who is trying to compete in the global market. Number two, as we said earlier, there is a problem of the raw material cost. India is not, allowing that much forest to be cut for the good, furniture making. And number three is the logistic cost. So unless we consider, take care of all these three costs, which is the land price, the logistic cost, and also the raw materials, this will remain primarily a challenge. Another thing that Indian domestic industry is quite large. We are talking of consumption, which I said earlier. So if we don't have to necessarily look only at export, we can also look at the domestic industry and import substitution. And when I'm talking about the quality, point number three, the basically, unless is another problem with the furniture industry is it is highly customized. So every person, whosoever is ordering, he's ordering limited number of pieces, and each item is different from the first item. So you cannot have robotics, you have to customize your production processes for a particular type of furniture. So what the important thing is that we bring the specialization. Everything, whatever we are doing, but he is, I'm an expert in doing just the wardrobe. If you go to Malaysia, you will find one company doing only the sofas, another company doing just the beds. They are specialization in such an extent, and they are exporting more than 200 containers a month, 400 containers a month, but only one product. Specialization is a requirement, number one. And number two, we also have the global capacities. So unless we are talking of the real large capacity, we will not be in a position to invest the money in machine automation, mechanization. And more is the human interface, more will be the problem with the quality. You will be surprised that we are talking of Vietnam and we are talking of China. We have got the export order from Indonesia, and today we have got an order from container load from Vietnam, beating China prices. So India can very well produce the material meeting global standards and an affordable price. My view is that basically that we should always talk about our aim should change. It should become German quality and China price. If we follow this dictum, nobody can beat us in the world, and we have got sitting in a golden goose. Furniture industry set to grow year after year, month after month, day after day, and for next 50 years. What today's software can be tomorrow furniture from employment viewpoint and also from export viewpoint. That's what I would like to say. My
Thank
tool
you.
is German quality, China price.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. I hope that is going to be possible, and if it is, it's only going to be because we are a high-quality manufacturer using all the resources of our country. As you correctly said, we don't need, and as the Honorable Minister said at the beginning, that we don't need anything much from outside other than building our own capabilities. The wood and the people and the land for this multi-billion-dollar exporting industry are plentiful in India. And Indians ourselves will be increasing consumption of furniture, as you mentioned. Thank you, Mr. Goyal. I'd like to hear, and like all of you, to hear from Mr. Anil Mathur, who is a veteran of the industry and heads Godrej Furniture. And also his focus during the work that we have been doing in this committee for a few months has been mainly in raw materials, and he'll focus on that, but again speak from a quality perspective when he does. Thank you.
So thank you, Rudra, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to share some of my thoughts with all of you here. See, the furniture industry, as Goyal has been saying, it's globally is a very large industry. People talk about the industry being as large as even $1 trillion. Although people are talking about 500 billion, but so even talked about being a $1 trillion industry. And India itself consuming a large amount of furniture with huge potential for exports. Both in the domestic front, we have a huge potential, and for exports also, we have a huge potential. India has been exporting furniture, but our exports have been minimal, maybe in the tune of $1 billion or so, when we are importing close to $2 to $3 billion worth of furniture now. Now, the industry is in a very catch-22 situation. It's a situation where the industry has to really define and develop milestones to take it in a different league altogether. Why I say so is that today we are talking about quality and productivity. And if you look at globally, the furniture industry is an ecosystem of many industries, both MSMEs and large industries. It doesn't depend upon only one industry, but a lot of MSMEs contributing in terms of components, specializing in components, specializing in certain products. So it's an ecosystem that needs to be developed. That whole ecosystem has to be developed, which is today missing in the Indian context. And when this ecosystem starts missing, then everyone starts looking what is the easiest way to survive. And the easiest way to survive is to import from the countries which have these ecosystems and which are offering the products at a lower rate. And that's exactly what has happened to this industry when slowly the industry was getting consolidated. China and Vietnam were able to offer, or even Malaysia were able to offer products at a much lower prices. Why there? I'll come to it. And with the certain treaties which were signed with the certain countries, it became much more uncompetitive for people to really put in resources and develop this industry. It is not that the MSMEs in the country are not capable of. I strongly believe they are capable of, but everyone looks at the return on investment. And if he's not going to get a return on investment, it's not going to be, he's not going to put in the money. So how will the quality come in? How will the productivity come in? Quality and productivity will have to come in through technology. And that is important, and where the investment will have to be done by people. Quality and productivity will come in the designs. Right? To get a good productivity, right from the beginning, a designer will have to see that how it can be made easily and it can be made efficiently. The designer will have to see that how the quality.
Mr. Mathur, can everybody put their computers on mute? Mr. Amit Patil, can you put your computer on mute? Please continue, Mr. Mathur.
So quality will come right from the raw design. Quality will come, productivity will come right from the design. So I think these are important elements that we will have to start thinking as to how our people are going to get. Let's take raw material, which I've been talking about. If the raw material cost in the country is going to be 30 to 40% more, or ranging from 20 to 40% more, why will any Indian manufacturer want to take the raw material from the country? And if the quality is not there, then he will go in for a cheaper quality. If he's not importing, he will go in for a cheaper quality of the material. So it's important that we start looking at it, whether it is wood, whether it is fabric, whether it is metal, how are we going to support the industry in terms of the raw material? Wood and wood derivatives are the major components of the raw material. If you look at today, getting certified wood is a big challenge in India. Getting EO particle boards which are required, or E-half particle boards which are required for the global market, as a challenge in India. So how are we going to get this raw material? So government will have to take initiatives to see that either the duties for these are reduced, which is a short-term thing, but on a long term, how are we going to really start plantations? How is the forest policy, as Rudra was also mentioning, going to come in, so that we plant the woods in different parts, and so that that sustainability also comes in, and we are able to get that woods and wood derivatives which will help us. We had earlier some IS specifications for the products, but I'm glad that BIS has now started working on the performance standards, because in a furniture, it is performance. It is the performance of the product. It is the performance of those elements that go into manufacture of furniture. It's not just the one particular product's yield strength or anything. It's a complete performance. How does it perform in terms of the sustainability? How does it perform in terms of the surface finishes? How does it perform in terms of the yield strength? Now, these are the elements that have to be built into the quality of the raw material that is coming in. So the fundamental thing is that if we start looking at the fundamentals of raw material, that what raw material goes in, is there an adequate ecosystem developed in the country to supply that, or how do we develop that ecosystem, whether it is fabric, synthetic fabric. Today, China is the largest manufacturer of synthetic fabric. It is not that India cannot do it, but upholstery is not happening in India. We are only focusing more on the apparel. So how can we focus on to upholstery? How can we focus on to wood particle boards, which are much expensive. If they are going to be 25% more, the furniture is going to be 25% more. And definitely it will not be able to sustain in the international market. Definitely it will not be able to sustain in the domestic market, which is easy to import from the countries and do it.
Mr. Mathur, I'll just ask some questions because your points are very well taken, but also a lot of the questions that we've received,
Yes,
90% of those are raw material related. I'll just quickly mention a couple of questions and just to hear your thoughts. Is it possible to use things like rubber wood or plantation wood in a legal setup? That's number one. Question number one. Question number two is, can there be some R&D for ingenious species that can be used in plantations?
Yes, I think
Question
we
number
should
three
do.
is bamboo, use of bamboo. So if you can touch upon those
Yes.
questions.
So rubber wood as a product has been used in the past, but rubber wood as a product has not been acceptable to the consumers as much as any other solid woods, which is the teak and mango and other areas. Nevertheless, we should promote rubber wood provided the rubber wood availability is there, because today the rubber wood availability is very limited. The planks of rubber wood, as I said, are quality has to be improved to the quality and the price that one gets from Malaysia, so that people can work out. Now, bamboo has its own limitations. Bamboo has its own limitations because all furniture cannot be a bamboo-based furniture. There are different species, there are different materials are used for different product categories, whether it is the wardrobes or whether it is tables or whether it is beds. And bamboo also, if you look at the bamboo production in China, is totally different from the bamboo production that we're having. If I'm able to get a bamboo from China, I get a large chunks of bamboo because the bamboo shoot itself is a large and it's grown for furniture. Whereas the Indian bamboo is shoots are not so solid, which one can take it for the furniture growth. So those are the limitations. But we must look at certain Indian species also, which can be used in the particle board industry, which can be also used for the solid wood. It need not be that one has to go in for an international wood. As long as the wood is able to give its strength, as long as the wood is able to be machinable. The other thing that we have to think about is that today, if we want to be competitive, we will have to not just think solid wood to be artisans' work. Solid woods are today being done up on CNC machines globally. So these machines will have to be, this technology will have to be incorporated. So the wood should be easily able to be handled on a CNC machine, and technology input should come in by which you could still get those designs and take it forward. So that is, I think, going to be the most critical thing. Productivity in India is possible today if technology is incorporated. Because if you look in the furniture, the material content is the highest vis-a-vis the conversion content. People talk about 70-30, 60-40 as a conversion. If it's inefficient, then it goes to 50-50. But if you get it, if you look at a China, the conversion rates are 70-30 at their point of manufacture. So if a product is costing X, I'm talking about the cost and not the overheads and all, 70% is the material cost and 30% is the conversion cost. Now, if that 70% is not really handled properly, that 30%, even if you get a 10% reduction in that 30%, you will still get 3%. But if you get a 10% reduction in that 70%, you will get a 7% reduction. So that's, I think, going to be a critical element where we'll have to see that how RM is brought down. And then we will also have to see that productivity improvements can be done. And that's why I think the Skill Council started taking up of training people, not just on the carpentry, but on the machine operations, so that we are able to train people to take care of those areas and operate the machines and take it forward. I do not know whether we can develop a quick roadmap, but I think what is expected is a roadmap should be developed where how are we going to ensure that the raw material availability of the right quality is available at a global prices. And believe me, some of the raw material is not just coming out of China, it's coming out of Europe also. and they are still cheaper than India. So we may have to go downstream. I'm not saying that only the furniture, because for an Indian economy to grow, more the value added, the more better it is. So we may have to even go downstream to see if any of the raw material suppliers, like a particle board supplier, is having an issue. What can we do to ensure that their raw material cost comes down, so that in the whole supply chain, the raw material cost can come down by about 25 to 30%, which will be beneficial.
Thank you, Mr. Mathur. That was very illuminating and helpful. We will make a switch. We heard manufacturers and talk about manufacturing issues, skills, etc. And we will move. And we are speaking a lot about international markets. We will now switch and talk about domestic market and from a retailer perspective. And online retailer that all of you are familiar with, Pepperfry. I'll request Mr. Hussain Kesuri to speak with us with his experience and what does quality mean for Pepperfry for an online retailer, and also give us a general outlook of the furniture industry and opportunities for improvement. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you, Rudra, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be part of this event. If you look at the overall furniture business, actually, Mr. Goel has already touched upon, the size of the domestic market and the potential it has for every furniture manufacturer, and it's pretty large, right? $20 billion per plus business, which is pretty good. And over the last couple of years, people have been looking at furniture very differently, and specifically, when I look at the COVID times, where people have been forced to work from home, the time spent for any individual, working individual, has increased multifold. We are all operating from home, and when you're at home, you're actually addressing all your home environment. So whether it's your living room, it's the sofas, the ergonomic chairs, you talk about the study tables, all of these are elements that people have started focusing on and replacing stuff in their home, because I need to be comfortable. Everybody needs to be comfortable in their homes, should be able to operate efficiently and deliver to their organization goals. So I think overall the demand for furniture has been pretty good, and people have been looking at furniture, replacing furniture, making it more convenient for them. So rather than it being an element which people were okay having or not having, are suddenly required to now start thinking, hey, this is a product I need. Without a study table, it's very difficult to operate. You can't sit for 8 hours on a stool, or on the floor. You need to have an ergonomic chair to be comfortable and work uh, from your home. So all of this has led to a pent up demand over the last 9 months. And to a great extent, the Indian manufacturers, because I'm talking on behalf of the industry which sells on Pepperfry. Pepperfry being an aggregator, has almost all the large and medium and small businesses who sell on Pepperfry. Our job is to ensure that these products reach out to customers pan India. So there has been a great demand. We saw a lot of traffic for consumers searching for products, and one of the element that I think was very important, which I thought should be discussed here, is furniture has never been considered as an essential item. So while I'm operating from home, I need furniture. Furniture manufacturers couldn't produce anything unlike the essential commodities. But I think furniture is now an essential commodity. It needs to be available to a customer at any point of time. So uh, while the manufacturers were able to manufacture and deliver, they are still reeling with the kind of pent up demand that has been built, and raw material, which Mr. Mathur covered. Raw material availability itself has become a challenge. So getting all of the supply chain, the back end supply chain in place, is very critical for an industry like furniture. It has to work clockwise, very similar to what Mr. Dhiren mentioned in one of the messages. It's more like an automobile industry. right? You need all the components to be able to finally deliver the final product. And therefore, tying up all of these elements are very key to the furniture business. Having said that, we are a very consumer focused company. We are dealing directly with customers. So obviously, if I look at from a customer's angle, they are looking for a quality product, right? And if you deliver anything which is non-quality or non-standard, probably the customer is not going to come back and buy anything again, right? So quality, price, variety, all of these are important elements from a consumer point of view. And I'm purely talking from a consumer's point of view. While quality is more internal to the manufacturer, how does a customer look at the product? The customer looks at the product as whether they like it or they don't like it. Is it functionally delivering everything that they want? We work very closely with SMEs, and I think the stepping stone is getting orientation on quality, right? Today, India exports furniture, and a major chunk of that furniture is solid wood furniture, which is actually known for handcrafted furniture and for the kind of solid wood material it uses. Now, this is very, very different from the kind of imports and exports furniture as an industry runs with. Whether you talk about upholstery, you talk about engineered wood, India is known for solid wood furniture. We actually have a large base of solid wood furniture manufacturers who sell on Pepperfry today. And it is important, and that means they are addressing international quality. They are exporting to Europe, US, and almost all developed nations. That means quality as an element is obviously part of their day-to-day life. Otherwise, they will not be accepted in the international markets. Therefore, I'm totally aligned that we have to focus on quality. We have to get this element right, whether it is the domestic market. I would always say the customer is the same, whether a customer based out of Australia or a customer based out of India. It is important that quality is delivered. Right now, our focus should be on two elements. One is the back end, which is the raw material, like Mr. Mathur mentioned. I think key elements today, because there is no consistency of wood supply, there are no organized setups, councils. It gets difficult for you to maintain quality at the very raw material stage. The second is training. We have skills development council. How do we expand and make it compulsory that only people certified from these institutes are, put on job training? Because today, all the work that I learn and what I understand from a manufacturer is on the job. How do we get more skilled people into this workforce? That's very important. It will help us not only build for today but also build for the future. When we are wanting to be a big exporter of furniture, we have to get it right in the domestic market first. Once you are right in your domestic market, automatically internationally you are the largest player, because nobody can compete with you. And I'm talking this very confidently because I have seen suppliers based out of Rajasthan who actually, are churning out some of the best quality furniture in the country. So when it comes to even, setting up standards, which the BIS team is setting up, every element of the product, every furniture element is different. So how do we involve a larger industry to actually focus on building the right standards for every particular furniture segment, whether it is solid wood, it's engineered wood, or upholstery, fabric, everything, right? And these are key things that I think are very important. And unless we start with the orientation, it is going to be very, very difficult for SMEs to really do well in the domestic market. Having said that, I think it's very important that everybody focuses on getting our back end, which is the supply, right, get the front end. That is, what Mr. Goel said, unless you have a quality orientation, it's not going to help. Everybody is going to take shortcuts to actually deliver what they want to deliver. And that's not going to be acceptable to today's consumer. Today, consumers are very, very clear on what they want. They are focused on only quality products. So India has to step up. Indian manufacturing has to step up and deliver quality. And yeah, I think we have a long way to go. We can surely and we will surely be one of the big exporters of furniture. And within the country itself, there's a sea change that is coming in terms of the kind of products that are being available to the market, right? You are seeing more and more organized players really playing and bringing stuff that the Indian consumers never had access to, at least 5-7 years back. So I wish everybody all the best. I think there's a lot of work to be done.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr.
Thank you.
Kesu.
Thank you,
Couple
Rudra.
couple of questions,
Yeah.
and both I think are very relevant questions. One is what needs to be done in, because everybody else is speaking as a manufacturer. What needs to be done to create Indian furniture brands, both domestically within India and globally? And Pepperfry would be in a very good position to talk about that. What would you say Pepperfry needs to do? What needs to be in terms of quality and productivity, in terms of ecosystem? Is there a role of the state? So that's question number one. Question number two is, although it's a very small part of the total furniture business, online distribution of furniture is an expanding category, and obviously Pepperfry is one of the big parts of the reason why it is an expanding category. So what needs to be done specifically for online sales of furniture? So if you could deliberate on those, both of those points.
Yeah. Can you just complete the other question?
First one was about brands of furniture.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, all of us, we are talking about selling to someone in the West.
Yeah.
But why can't we sell to ourselves or sell to an Indian company that goes around the world?
Yeah.
Instead of, so that's the brand question. The second one is online distribution question.
Sure. So let me just, So frankly, I think the opportunity for everybody is to, technically we've always manufactured for consumers, right? All manufacturers technically is just our mindset that we are manufacturing for somebody else, and that orientation needs to change. So, for example, at Pepperfry, we actually work very closely with manufacturers to see how we can help them grow, and it has to be a collaborative effort. A manufacturer has to think brand, the manufacturer has to think consumers. If I look at 10 years back, or 9 years, actually we started off 9 years back, the orientation of a manufacturer is that I'm delivering it to some retailer, and there's no clue of what the product is going to eventually, who's going to use it. But frankly, if you look at it, we were always a B2C business. All manufacturer products are actually for consumers. And, every brand has an opportunity, or every manufacturer has an opportunity to create a brand for themselves, right? Uh, we can choose multiple paths, whether it is a B2B path of delivering products to retailers or to exporters and stuff. The other is selling it under their own label. But people need to invest time, effort, money, and bring in quality. That's very important. Suddenly, when you are on your own, you realize what customers have to give you as feedback. So it's important to take those feedbacks. I've seen manufacturers who are very sensitive about their products being uh, rated, or products being reviewed, or feedbacks given by customers, but it's important to take them positively. Eventually, if a customer is giving you feedback, that's the feedback. You like it or you don't, you have to accept it. And I think that's the key change today. I'm sorry, I'm using the word pepper fry, but today we are known for at least the one element, that is, what you see is what you get. That was our first mantra, because we were selling online. Customer couldn't see the product. Now, if I don't deliver that basic thing, customer is not going to come back. And brands are built over time based on trust and quality. We have Godrej as a very good example here. Yeah, people today know Godrej because of trust and because of quality. There's no other question. Today, people just buy it. They will never question quality. I think brands are built over time. People have to invest time, effort, and you will definitely get results. It is a segment. I would consider it to be one of those FMCG products where you can be a OEM manufacturer, at the same time you can have a private label of your own. Lot of tons of opportunities. You can have multi-channel, and you have successful stories here, in India itself, where a player is a manufacturer, is an OEM, is a retailer. So you have couple of such successful cases within the country, and Mr. Goyal can actually doubly agree to this. So there are opportunities. People have to look at it, invest in it, and deliver quality. That's very important. On your second question of online, I think most important thing is consumers always wanted variety in India. It is always about variety. I want to look at options before I buy. As simple as, if I want to buy a bed, you will not come with a thought that, you will look at a bed which will have like a structure like this, or a slat, or a mission bed, or a poster bed. You start checking out products before you actually make your selection. It's more of what you like visually. Yeah. And if you look at online businesses, they have not altered, according to me, we have not altered any buying behavior. If I would have gone to a traditional shop, 5 years back, uh, the shopkeeper would have shown me some 10 beds. But if I don't like the 10 beds, the 11th bed, the shopkeeper would tell me, look at this catalog. I can get any of this from you. So he would show me a catalog with like 100, 150, 200 beds. So technically, Indians have never shopped actually looking physically at the product. So either the carpenter has made to order in our house, or it has been bought, from a catalog. So the buying behavior has not changed. It's the same customer, and therefore, I would look at what online can do is actually deliver variety to small parts of the country, right? Today, a SME, for example, based out of a location as remote as Churu, is selling to a customer based in Kanyakumari. It is not possible that a guy sitting out from Churu would actually ship out to Kanyakumari. That's the advantage that online brings, right? So we have to embrace this as a channel. It is not the only channel. Some of the largest countries in the world have hardly 10-15% e-commerce penetration. So it's not competition. We are not here to sell products cheap or expensive. What we are trying to deliver is variety. Today, most of the furniture retailers are present in the top 8 to 10 major cities. Yeah, because retail expenses, retail storage, retail space is very expensive. You can't go and set up stores everywhere. I think, therefore, when I look at the metros, I look at tier one markets, I look at tier two markets, people are looking for variety. And I think that's what an online business delivers. There's actually value that gets delivered to the customer. So people should look at this as a channel. In the people, when I say people, I mean manufacturers, I mean retailers. It's an extra channel at no cost. And uh, it just expands your business. Suddenly, when we are talking about scale, you will realize that, hey, you know what, I am getting X volume from this channel already. So all of that builds up the efficiency of that product. Like, when we talk about, hey, I will only manufacture sofa, but I will manufacture the best quality and the cheapest sofa, and that's all I will do. And I'll make 1 lakh sofas. That guy can reach pan India because he would be the most efficient manufacturer. So, yeah, it's a channel. We should use this channel. Uh, the channel gives a lot of options for consumers as well as for manufacturers, because today, predominantly in the furniture industry, there is no distribution network, right? There is no organized distribution network like FMCGs. It is very hard for a manufacturer based out of one location to go out of his local area. So if I am a artisan, or I am a very skilled supplier, I am restrained from the location because of the infrastructure. I cannot reach out outside my location. And I think that's what online is all about, and it gives you that additional advantage. And yeah, I think that's how people should look at it. We have multiple channels, we have dealer networks, distributor networks, and online is one more network. Yeah. So I hope, Rudra, I answered that for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. If there are more questions, we'll come back to you. There are many more questions coming.
Sure.
Miss Dimpy Daroch, um, her background is in UL furniture, and she has focused on the environment and sustainability aspects of furniture. We know that's a big issue, both in terms of the certification that we talk about in terms of solid wood, when we talk about carb certification. There's also been questions on carb certification. Ms. Taro, if we could have you go next.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee, and a very good evening to all of you present today. I'm really delighted to be part of this series, and especially, of one of these fast-growing sectors, that is furniture. And like you also mentioned, Mr. Chatterjee, furniture is one of these key areas where a major impact, and that is very close to my heart. So I did kind of, write up a lot about the furniture market, and I did want to talk about the domestic furniture market and the exporters. But, having already heard about the market and the market scenario from the manufacturers themselves, I think I'm going to be focusing on what, as a TIC, I should be. That is the quality aspect. So when you talk about quality of furniture, you can broadly categorize it into two heads. One is safety and one is health. When I talk about the safety aspect of furniture, the number one aspect is performance and durability. When you talk about performance, things like, or even for example durability, things like, how much load it can take, or how strong your furniture is lasting, how many cycles it's going to be lasting. So these are the basic performance tests, and I think something that our domestic market also is very well aware. And so is for the durability. I think as Indians, as Indian consumers, we all want things that last. Apart from performance and durability, what comes is tip over hazards. I don't know how, if this has been a very popular global incident, but one of the major global retailers had to recall 500 million dressers because of a tip over hazard, and that led to formation of a tip over standard, that a furniture item, should not fall on its own or with little pressure. So that is another safety related testing that is important for furniture segment of late. Another important safety certification or testing is fire safety. How flammable your product is going to be, or how it's going to react when there is an open fire, or a butt fire. So this is the performance aspect of the performance or the safety aspect of the quality of furniture. The next aspect is health. um, I would say that from the domestic market point of view, and as an experience in the industry that I've had with a lot of customers, this is an aspect that is not considered as much still in India for the domestic market. However, if you see it for the export market, health is one of these market access criteria. So what comes under this health aspect? The number one aspect is ergonomics, what and with which I think also Mr. Hussain spoke about during the aspect that right now we are all working from home, and we all need furniture that is healthy to use, easy to sit on, and things like that. So maybe I would say a COVID impact might have led to domestic increase of ergonomics aspect as well. um, However, the next health related quality standard is chemical and emissions assessment. Uh, this is where one very prominent word that has been there ever since Mr. Chatterjee's presentation, and everybody's talking about in terms of availability, is formaldehyde emissions, that is carb. So, or even chemical emissions like VOCs from furniture that impact the indoor air quality. So, carb certification helps you ensure that your carb certified plywood, using carb certified plywood in your furniture ensures that your product will not emit any harmful VOCs into the air that will lead to poor indoor air quality. Another very important criteria from the health aspect of the quality of furniture. So, having spoken about, very broadly categorizing what exactly are these what quality means for furniture, um, it leads to my next point, that why, uh, uh, you know, uh, this this quality of furniture is not available in the country. Um, or why is it hard to find, I would say. And a lot of even previous speakers mentioned that getting certified products is a challenge in the country. So I would answer that in a way, from a certification agency perspective, from a TIC perspective. The fact is that there exists capabilities in the country to test or certify for any of these certifications or testing that I just mentioned. There are international and Indian certification or testing agencies that can do these testing. The point here is, the gap here is, if between manufacturers and the capabilities, is the need to get them done, the awareness to get these tests done, and the market for them, for these certified products. Having said that, I think in India, if we are able to get these certified products as an Indian manufacturer, I think the biggest advantage that you have as an Indian furniture manufacturer, that not only when you get these certifications you can export, but you also have a huge domestic market to cater to. And like Anil Mathur sir mentioned, that we have 1 billion exports, but 2 to 3 billions of imports, and maybe certified products is the solution to avoid that, and focus on the big Indian domestic market that we have.
Thank you, Ms. Daroch. One question that comes up a lot is, while we get certified, many of the customers that we work with ask for FSC certification, card certification. And when we discuss within the community, there's a lot of discussion, why can't there be Indian certifications? So what is the way forward? Because the customers seem to be insisting on FSC certification.
Right. I think that's a very good question, Mr. Chatterjee. This is what I believe in from a personal perspective. I don't feel that there is a need to reinvent the wheel. There is a standard. There exists capabilities to test according to those standards. And once you test something to international capabilities, your product is not only accepted in domestic market, but it is also going to be accepted in the international market with just one certification. When we go for a separate domestic certification and a separate international certification, it kind of makes the domestic manufacturer difficult to access international markets.
Got it. Also about particle boards.
Right.
We haven't gone far, but we know there are crop stubs that are burnt, and a good use for crop stubs is it possible to use particle board made out of agricultural waste?
If you ask me scientifically, yes, but the real answer is what a manufacturer can give you. Definitely, there are engineered wood made up of a variety of items. People are being very innovative. I have customers creating wood out of a lot of different kind of products, and I think or raw materials, and I think agricultural, it's a great substitute for wood.
Great. If there are more questions, I'll ask you, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker, and after that we'll have more questions, is Mr. Jagat Shah. We would ask him to again speak generally, but talking about productivity of the sector. He has extensive research globally on different best practices, and talking about case studies that can be applied to the furniture industry for improvements of quality and productivity. Mr. Jagat Shah, we want to hear from you next.
Yes. Thank you, Rudraji, and thanks to the Ministry and QCI for the invitation. So, friends, I'll quickly in 10 minutes try to share my experiences of three places. One in USA, where I worked for 4 years in the marketing, and in China for 6 years. And I was 2 years, we were in a merchant export company and handling furniture exports also, and India last 20 years. So US, we all know, is a private sector driven initiative country. China is a public sector led government focus, and India is should be like 50-50. Now, when we are talking about furniture export or any industry, when we are talking of quality and productivity, we are primarily talking of competitiveness at a macro level. I define competitiveness in 4 factors, and it was very nice to see the previous speakers all speak about that. So it is like efficiently creating goods and services which meet global market demand, rising to living standard for everybody in the society, and which is sustainable into the future. Now, if you see these 4 parts, first 2 is economics, next 2 is social. So Anilji spoke about technology, absolutely. And here when I speak about small, medium enterprise primarily, because that is the majority of furniture producers in India, I believe. Then a lot of people, when lockdown started, were asking me that we are a small company, how do I source technology? So it is very simple. We are in a digital economy today. It's a knowledge-based economy. Just I used to tell them, go to YouTube and look out for technologies. In your product, you will get almost every technology provider has videos put up on YouTube. Then design. Now I'll give you a very interesting example. And this is what I was trying to understand from all other speakers, that from design perspective, I am from Ahmedabad. There is a company in Ahmedabad for last 20 years. He is exporting swings in a knockdown condition to all over the world. And he identified a niche market of Gujarati people living abroad, particularly in US, Canada, Australia, because every Gujarati family has a swing in the home, and it's a part of the culture. And they do that. Today, every month, 20 containers they ship. And what is the model they do? They have got a warehouse in US, in Detroit, and they have an online sales portal also. They stock it there, that is B2B part of it, and then they do online e-commerce also there. And it is a knockdown condition, so which is very popular in US. So this is what I'm saying, that the niche market, while we always keep talking about large scale production, I'm not very sure how much large scale production we will be able to do in order to anytime compete with China in terms of its scale of production. But if we can find these niche markets, that is where now we are also talking of zero defect on that, efficiently creating goods and services. Then global markets. See, one thing a lot of people are used to tell me that, why are you promoting exports when India itself is such a big market, particularly to small, medium enterprise? The reason to export is that when we start exporting, we start learning the best practices of the world in our business. And when we bring that to our Indian business improves. The third is living standard, which is more about to do with hiring right people, the skills part of it. And I will speak about it, and sustainable into the future. So Dimpy very rightly mentioned about, and that is what is called the zero effect. Now, while I'm talking of this competitiveness, I always have this point that exports is the benchmark of competitiveness. Exports is the benchmark. Because the moment you are exporting, you are not only competing with companies within the country, but you are competing with companies globally. You are competing with a Chinese and Vietnamese company. So exports I would say, should be a benchmark to look at quality and productivity. Now, a lot of times I have seen that whenever there is a discussion on quality and productivity, the discussion is more around product and production. But I believe that it is not just about product and production. It is also about marketing, it is about finance, it is about HR, it is about skills, it is about administration. For example, like design, I mentioned, trend. Somebody mentioned feedback. What is the quality of feedback we take? Is there a quality system in that? Okay. Now, if you look at HR from the quality perspective, today it is sad, but it is true that our education system is not churning out the skills which are required in the industry. So my approach has always been to industry that hire for attitude and train for skills. So if you see, here comes that triple helix model of competitiveness. And here is where my recommendation to the government would be to strengthen that. Our government, academia, industry connect, if you see, is not very strong. If you see the academia to industry connect, it is very weak. So until and unless we have that connect, we will not never ever be able to create a quality and productivity parameter in our HR, in the HR function. And like when the lockdown was, there is a lockdown, and all people were working from home. Suddenly, everybody had an opportunity to hire anybody from around the world. I was hiring people from Philippines and Brazil to work with me because my Ahmedabad staff itself was working from home. So can we use that approach in our industry to hire people around the world? And in any case, they will be doing work from home. And particularly interns or fresh graduates from design schools. Because design, I believe, is going to be the differentiator in furniture business. If you go to, I will share an experience. I had the opportunity to travel with Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2011 to China. And in Guangzhou, we went, all the furniture industry people who are here would know, Foshan is the place where all of India also goes to buy. We buy furniture from there and bring to India. Even when bungalow is to be made, people will fly to China with their architect and put stuff into a container. And we went to see one market. And it was like a furniture market, huge market. But there was an area where only international expo of furniture used to take place, and only international visitors were allowed, and only one in China, not multiple. Can we do that? Can we have one expo in India where only international buyers can come? That is the kind of infrastructure we need to create from a government point of view. Or for example, competitive analysis. Can we have that? What is number one USP of China, of Germany, of Italy, of Brazil, of Vietnam? Who are our competitors? Looking at then for example, virtual expo nowadays. I mean, I was very surprised, and I thought this would happen so much. India is an IT producer country, but not an IT user country. Virtual expos between August last year to December, 940 virtual expos took place. Out of the after that, yesterday I was researching about 30 virtual expos took place for furniture, but not from India. And in those 30 virtual expos, I went to 3 or 4 of them. I could not find even one Indian presenter who was presenting. So we need to get into that kind of an approach of virtual trade missions. And hello, somebody's voice is coming in between. It's okay. So for example, my suggestion is if the government can look at an approach where we can have a warehousing somewhere and connect it to B2B as well as e-commerce. That kind of support would be, I think, required for the Indian small medium enterprise in international market from the government side. And let that only be set up by a government initiative. Let it be run by a private sector. And this is what, and lastly, I want to speak about innovation. So my definition of innovation is very simple, that do one thing better than anyone else. Now this guy in Ahmedabad doing only swing, I call it an innovation in terms of its niche market segment which he has identified. If suppose we look at Uganda market, can we have only a Uganda series of furniture based on just doing a proper market research and cultural understanding of the market? May not be that we will ship very large quantities, but can we do smaller quantities but higher profit margin, even at a higher price? If you take example of Tirupur, our t-shirt cluster of India, I always give this example because in Tirupur you will get a t-shirt in like 20,000 pieces, normal like round neck, half sleeve, 120-gram fabric it is called. You will get for 35 rupees. But China does the same quality for 28 rupees. But Tirupur is exporting $2 billion of t-shirts. How is it doing at 35 rupees? Because they have identified smaller markets where they need smaller quantities but larger variety. They will need one particular design in 10 colors, 10,000 pieces. But China will never give that, can never do that. So, but still $2 billion of exports from one town of 600,000 people. So that kind of an approach. So do one thing better than anyone else. Now, what is that one thing? Everyone will have to work out. Everybody was talking about work from home furniture. I have still not been able to see a particular brand promotion on, say, for example, work from home kind of a model, right? And then I was looking at data of furniture export, and I saw that globally, USA is the largest importer in the world, and India is ninth in its exports to USA. And if we look at the standards, so I was looking at the flammability standard, and there are none of those standards. I don't think that which we cannot achieve, because to me, the benchmark for US is the pharma industry of India. We are exporting pharma. It is more sensitive a product than any other product which can go to any international market. We are doing very well in the pharma sector in the US market, which means we can achieve any kind of standard of quality. But I feel, in my opinion, that the partnership between government and private sector needs to be redefined. Government perhaps needs to take more initiative in infrastructure creation, and then the private sector should come and play a role. And this is what I had observed when I used to work in China. Of course, it's a different governance, it's a different structure of working, but it is working there. So, for example, just my last point, that for the small medium enterprises, they lack all these resources. Indian government also lacks resources. Can we create one international standard common facility center for the furniture industry, where there is a design studio, where there is a certification facility? That's it, one. Not too many. What we have been doing perhaps is, with limited resources, we go across country and we set up 5-6 centers. So every center will get less money, and therefore none of them can become globally competitive. One internationally, I remember in 2005, UNIDO, I was working with UNIDO and I had gone to Italy, and I'm forgetting the city name, but we went to see a furniture cluster, and we saw a design studio there, and we saw this kind of a common facility center which 100% government had set up, but 100% being run by private sector. There were about 22 companies who were running, and they were all exporting. All of them exporting. And they were doing small quantity export, but very high value, and they were making good money. So these are just some of my views, Rudraji. I wanted to share.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Figuratively and practically, as we can see from your wall, you wear a lot of hats, and in the kind of things that you covered.
I have got about 600 hats, which I have collected from 80 countries.
Absolutely, and figuratively as well. The kind of things that you covered, from virtual meetings to quality control to really new provocative thoughts on how we can use work from home to get skills, even though the skills may not be in our factory today.
Correct.
Those are really the way to think about this nascent industry. The opportunities are huge, and the model of Vietnam and China is their model. We can create another model for the 21st century, which is the Indian model, which will take our skills and our capabilities, which may be different from this. It's, after all, the products that China makes are still very much in the same format and same design, using woods that China doesn't grow. We can use products that are grown in India, designed in India, and communicate our lifestyle and our brands, as Pepperfry spoke before you. So very, very interesting. I have a lot of questions. Again,
Rudra, can I just share a couple of
please,
experiences?
So, Mr.
just
Mathur,
wanted to
share
share,
your experience, but I'll just say one thing. After Mr. Mathur shares his experience, Mr. Goel can also talk a little bit about infrastructure required for furniture hubs. That's one area of question. So, Mr. Mathur, you go first, and then Mr. Goel, and that will probably come close to our point of the 6 p.m. deadline that we have.
I just want to share that, since we're talking about quality and productivity and whether the MSMEs and SMEs can really invest in that, I think it's about changing the mindset. What we did was at Godrej, we had this cluster of MSMEs, our suppliers who were supplying components and also some finished good. We started a cluster along with CII also as a partner. And initially, they were all shocked when we went to their shops. The whole team would go there, where even our people were there, and along with the other cluster partners. So they were quite hesitant in sharing their whole thing. And everything was changed. The amount of scrap that was reduced, the amount of inventory that was monitored, how the productivity improvements could be done in their own factories with their existing machinery, how their finances could be there, how their employee morale can be improved. People would sit on the floor and eat. So we created an area where the staff could be there. And after doing all this, we freed up the space. It was that the company was able to free up space. They felt that you may have to spend money, but they freed up the space. They increased their cash flow with all the unwanted things lying with them, and their productivity and the morale of people went up, and automatically the quality and productivity went up. And this cluster went on to also go in for sustainability cluster. And a lot of them have got the MSME sustainability awards as being the best sustainability unit to be done. Some of them have also gone ahead and gone in for business excellence. We started a business excellence culture cluster also. Now we are running a zero defect cluster with them, where we are talking about proactively identifying the faults that can occur. You see, quality is about all proactively, just like safety, identifying where things can go wrong in manufacturing. Things can go wrong in the design. And this has to be done much more proactively and not reactively, that something happens and consumer complaints and we come back. But to ourselves, identify proactively what all can go wrong and what poker your case or what initiatives that one can take in. So if we can form these clusters with various MSMEs, we can start this movement. Maybe the Q quality circle can start off with them. And it's not an expensive movement where we have found we can set examples of people coming and speaking to those people of how it helped them to improve their quality, their productivity, their cash flows, and it can be taken forward. So I think there is a movement that we will have to start off through this. And it is once that mindset changes. I will give you an example of one of our vendors who said, I supply to an Indian manufacturer. He is an automobile supply manufacturer, and I supply to a Japanese manufacturer. He says the cost of production is same for me, but the quality that goes to the Japanese manufacturer is different from the cost it goes to the Indian manufacturer. Reason is I'm expected with that quality, not that I'm doing anything different. My productivity, my cost of manufacturing, my everything is the same. But it's that mindset that is there that has been put into them that this is the quality that is required and we will take it up. The next point is just what Mr. Jagat was saying, that if we have a good testing center, today Godrej sends beds all the way to USA to get Green Guard certification. Imagine the amount of money that we're spending because we believe in sustainability, we believe in health of the people. So we sent all the way, although Griha is there, but we have to, if you are looking at VOC, now if we have a center which can take care of this large volumes, not small pieces, but the large emissions that can happen. Someone can do the EN testing here, someone can do the BIFMA testing and get themselves certified by these organizations. We could have one agency which is able to give standards which are globally acceptable, and it becomes easier for the Indian manufacturers. So I think the keenness is there. It is only that if you are able to galvanize the teams into doing it, we should be able to do it. That's all I have to share.
Thank you. We'd also like to thank you, Mr. Mathur. We would like to also hear from your colleague in Godrej, who's also called Mr. Lalitesh Mandrekar. I think Mr. Mandrekar is also on the call. If Mr. Mandrekar can also make an intervention.
Hi. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. One point I would like to highlight here on, because everybody spoke about quality and having kind of standards which customers can look upon while purchasing furniture. What happens is furniture is a very aesthetically driven product overall, and in India particularly, domestic furniture being predominant, the focus on the durability, the standards of quality is not that much. If person likes a furniture piece, they buy it. So during this whole process of purchase, there is not enough focus, as well as not enough ways of finding what the quality will be. And people then realize, because of some cheap quality imports or some ill-informed manufactured products, they then realize after a while that, okay, this particular product is not performing the way they expected it to, or not durable as they wanted it to be. So this is a typical problem that happens. So what needs to be done here is to have one national level standard, that once it is in place, if it is like available as a reference, or maybe as a conformance regulation, you buy a bed in market and the minimum level of quality will be assured. If it is like so we have many standards which are like that for other products, maybe for electrical products, or that, which you, once there is a mark, you can be sure that this product will satisfy your needs. And as Ms. Daros said about the different aspects of quality, product, when you buy furniture, it is not only durability, it's not only strength. There is also a very important factor where typically Indian products, most of the Indian products, there are exceptions of course, fail in delivering the correct amount of fit and finish and the surface quality. A simple example I will give: fit and finish, we are as a whole we are not really good at. We need to focus. Only few companies really focus onto this and make it like a part of their approval process for manufacturing. So if you see products, you particularly see wherever there are joints, in different materials or different surfaces, you will see where that product level stands. So these are different aspects. As Ms. Darush said about safety and different levels of, there are cases which happen. So these all things need to be considered. And I'm very happy and also proud to be a part of, BIS's efforts towards this. There are standards being put in place, which, for different types of furniture pieces. So you take chairs, you take office for tables, or general use tables, or let's say beds. So for each typical category that is being manufactured, imported, or purchased in India, there are standards being formulated. They're right now in a quite advanced stage, which will encompass all these aspects. There is stability, there is strength of the product, and there is durability of the product, which will set a benchmark, or kind of the minimum level for any manufacturer or importer to conform to. And once that is done, it will help in two ways. First, the customer can be very assured that if this is standard that is passed, the product will be good for sure. Secondly, these standards are being formulated based upon taking assistance from many international standards, so that the standards would ensure an international level of quality for all products, furniture products. So once this is done, all the manufacturers also would come up to that level, from where, as Mr. Shah said, exporting to other countries, people will not hesitate, will not have an issue, to whether to go ahead or not. So this is what is being done, and it is quite in advanced stage right now. As I'm informed, I think it will go into public circulation in January itself, and will be, approval process will happen, and that will bring certainly some amount of standardized quality for furniture in India, manufactured or sold in India. So yeah, so that was an important factor. Next level, of course, is like Mr. Mathur said about the certification, and also Mr. Shah said about having that center. So these things would have to be, of course, put in place, so that things can be normalized. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mandrekar. Thank you for your intervention. And adding to Mr. Mathur's comments as well, but also opening discussion points, certification, and other areas. Mr. Goel, I think the last point is about infrastructure that we said. You can mention that and close the furniture. We are exactly at 6 p.m., so let's answer it in a minute or so, and then.
Yes, I will just answer in a minute. Basically, I shared earlier model of, but India, if you want to become cost competitive, either from the import substitution viewpoint or from creating the value for the customer, we have to create a cluster where we are talking of making the land available to the furniture lower price, create some logistics subsidy, and also basically creating infrastructure, reducing the cost of the capital. All three things have to be done: lower land price, skilling, and also the lower cost of the capital. And all the people, what they say, the customer can come there and can select, and can also have the SME, and also have the large scale companies, which are export oriented, and also for the domestic. So this, we are in discussion with some of the government departments in some, and hopefully there will be some concessions coming to the furniture industry in very short time. So I'm not trying to take much of the time, because we are already running past the scheduled time.
Thank you. I think all the interventions, all the speakers made a lot of very valuable points. We are very excited to partner with QCI, the government, central and state governments, because we feel this is an industry for which the time has come. All the manufacturers, customers, all of who've been working for months with the government in coming up with a policy. We know that the business is going to be much bigger, because the business is already growing during the lockdown. So my thanks to QCI, all the members, more than 100 people were listening at different points, for listening in. And on behalf of the furniture group, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chatterjee, I thank all the participants and the moderator of the session for making this a huge success. I'm sure all of us learned a lot from this, and a plethora of topics related to quality and productivity were touched upon. We will try to include all of these in the sectorial compendium that will be published on 2nd of March for the government to take forward. Thank you all. This session is now closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Great.